Hi yogis, it's me Vicki. Welcome back to yoga. Today we'll do a little intermediate yoga. It's not too easy, not too hard. Just right down the middle. And as usual, I always encourage you to add what you'd like to and take out what you would prefer not to do today in your practice, right? That's what we love about yoga. We can tailor it to ourselves. So today I would like to come in a little bit to our third eye wisdom, right? So one of the energy centers in our body, the energy centers, the chakras that move up and down the spine, falls right here in the middle of our two eyebrows. It is called the Ajna Chakra, or your center of wisdom. I don't mean how much knowledge you have about math or science or something like that. It's all about your internal wisdom, the vision that you see of yourself in relationship to others, and yourself in relationship to the world. So as we practice today, we're going to come into the internal wisdom that we have, right? And I'm going to give you some tools along the way. So let's begin our practice with 5 nice breaths, and feel free to close your eyes during these breaths. Allow yourself to inhale, perhaps a little more deeply than you have all day, and exhale. 4 more. Allow yourself to focus on that space between your eyebrows, the very, very center, perhaps, of your brain, that perhaps sees the world with you in it, in a larger vision than we sometimes have in our day-to-day activities. One more nice deep breath. Exhaling it out and slowly bringing yourself back into the room with eyes slightly open. Taking your time, we'll set up a modified child's pose for our first posture. A little bit different here today. So the toes are at the back of the mat, but the hips are over the knees. Let's drop the forearms down so that it feels like you're making a little forearm table instead of an actual child's pose, right? You can pile the hands one on top of the other or stack your fists, but either way, let's ground the third eye center on those fists or hands and put our attention there for a moment, taking a few breaths. Instead of seeing yourself within the patterns of life as what is, perhaps allowing this practice to see yourself with bigger possibilities, what could be. One more breath here. And slowly making your way to a regular tabletop on hands and knees, shoulders over your wrists, wide hands that look like starfish pressing down on your finger pads and the heel of the hand there. Let's inhale to cow pose and exhale to our cat, starting to gently move our spine. The inhale, the belly drops, the gaze forward. The exhale, the gaze within, the belly drawn up. So that inhale brings our vision outward, forward. What could be? The exhale, the vision inward. What is? What could be? And what is? Let's do a couple more. Just allowing that to float for a bit as we move our spine here. One more time. Good, and then slowly back to neutral spine. Let's sink into a regular child pose with hips to heels for a moment. Feel free to extend the arms if you like that stretch. Again, allowing the third eye to draw towards earth, guiding our way here through this beautiful practice. One more breath. Exhaling and slowly coming back up to your tabletop posture. Now, can we go ahead and bring the right leg out long? Let's try to bring it hip height if we can with the toe pointing down. We'll add the left arm out in front as an option. The gaze on the mat, but chin is off the chest, balancing ourselves. Now, just the left arm comes back down to earth. Let's half circle this right leg past the left one. Place the ball of the right foot on the ground and shift your gaze over to those right toes. Breathing here. Stay here, option one, or if you want a little more, option two, bring your gaze back between your thumbs, and with the elbows slightly coming out to the side, just take 3 little dips. I'm not even going to call these push-ups. Just 3 little dips down, third eye towards the mat. Good. Now, as you slide that right leg back, can we bring it right up to a fire hydrant, a hip opener, to the side? And then bring it back down to table. We'll do 2 more. Inhale to the fire hydrant, back down to your table. 1 more, inhale. Exhale, back to table and pause there, good. Just sway the hips side to side. In yoga, we call this wagging the tail. Let yourself move around a little bit, get some energy through the hips. Sometimes when we hold a tabletop like that a little bit, we need the movement. And we'll make our way back to center, extending the left leg, long toes down. Right arm option. Let your spine be long, the breath be full. 1 more. And bringing that right hand back down to earth. Let's half circle this left leg across past the right shin, ball of the foot grounded, shifting your gaze to the toes beyond. Breathing. Notice the sensation that you might be feeling in your left hip. Option to stay here or to shift the gaze back to center and take your 3 little dips towards earth. A little work here. I know some of you are going to skip this. That's okay. And back up. Good. Now let's slide the left leg back right into fire hydrant to the side. And then down to the tabletop. Again, lift up and down to table. Make sure your right hip is still staying over your knee. Last one. And exhale down. Beautiful. Let's find that child pose again, sinking hips to heels. Relax, relax, relax. On your next breath, we will be coming to a kneeling mountain pose. If kneeling posture is not in your practice, stay here. If it is, walk the hands back to the knees and bring yourself up to a nice kneeling mountain pose. Good. Today a little different. Let's cross these arms over our heart center so the hands, the fingers are at the shoulder. Keeping the body very tall, straight, and long, and without going into camel. Can we shift back so that the body makes almost like a little incline, like a little sliding board there, straight body, no extension, and then come back to center. Let's do a couple more. So coming back, I know this is a little different for some of you, and then come back. 2 more. Bring it back. Notice what muscles are working. You might not even know the names of them. It doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. But something's working, right? And then back to center. Good. Now pause here. We'll take the arms away from the chest, hands behind the back on either side of the spine, top of the hip. You can use your fists instead of your flat hands if you wish. But let's find camel now, keeping the hips over the knees, letting the heart lift to sky. Drawing the energy from the flat hands downward as the ribs pull away slightly. Take another breath there, and then on your next breath, slowly back to neutral spine. Good. Inhale, let's reverse circle the right arm. Now reverse circle the left arm. Get some motion into the shoulders with these reverse circles. I'm kind of following my gaze with the arms. So I'm kind of doing a little, almost like a little twist with it, moving with it. The next time your left arm is in the air, leave it up. Stay right here. And then with that lower arm, if you want, you could try to keep the hips forward and maybe shift back a little bit. There's a chance you could touch that heel with the fingers, maybe. Then come back up, switch the arms. And if you'd like to try, just shift into a little tiny camel, very, very gentle. And can this left finger, maybe, to touch the heel? Maybe not, maybe. What is and what could be, right? The third eye energy. Now let's inhale, come back to center, both arms up, hands touch. Let's exhale to heart center. Coming into a gentle hero's pose. So hips shift down over the heels and the tailbone down inside the heels. If this is not working, child pose is your next posture. If it is working, join me in bringing your hands next to your pinky toes. Draw the hands flat and lift the hips up as the chest opens. Little incline plank there through your heroes. And then drop the hips and come back to heroes. We'll do 2 more. Hands slide behind. Inhale, open. Exhale down. Hands back to heroes. 1 more. Inhale, open. And exhale back to heroes. Nice job. Can we simply walk the hands back out to tabletop? Let's move on to something else, tucking the toes, finding your first downward facing dog. Make any adjustment that you need. Move your legs and feet around in a pedaling fashion if it will serve you. Getting some energy into the legs and trying to lengthen now the body. Lengthening the legs, lengthening the back. Drawing heels towards the earth and lifting the hips up at the same time. So finding that length. The neck is long. Back is long, spine is long. On your next inhale, let's come forward up onto the balls of the feet for plank pose. Shoulders over wrists. If this is too much energy for you, go ahead and drop your knees down for a knee down or assisted, as I call it, plank. Then we'll come back to downward dog, always drawing the belly towards the spine. Let's try that again. Inhale to plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. One more. Inhale to plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Great. Moving on now, remembering you can always come back to child pose if you wish. Right leg lifts for three-legged dog. So nice big stretch there, right? Then bending that knee, let's bring the knee past the nose, between the hands, dropping your left knee to the ground for kneeling lunge. Once you feel rooted and a strong connection to earth, let the arms come up overhead today, sinking hips down. Option to stay here or to drop your right arm down and take a little lateral stretch so that you're tilting slightly to the side. Then inhale back up and take a little lateral stretch the opposite side. Maybe your fingers touch the mat there. Back to center. Hands come down to earth. Let's pick up the back knee here. So we move into a full runner's lunge. And we'll try a little twist with that right hand to the hip. Just let yourself twist out there. Exhale, down. Now when you step back, we're going to try stepping back to plank pose. For more sensation, you could float your right leg off of the mat in plank. Watch the integrity of your plank there. Then back to downward facing dog. Good. If that wasn't enough for you, we'll try it again. Inhale forward to plank pose with the right leg, option to float. Back to downward dog. One more. I like to do things in threes. So lift the right leg up again. And then back to downward dog. Good. Breathe. Breathe, breathe. Very nice. Let's try this on the other side. Inhale, left leg. Three-legged dog. We'll bend the knee. Foot between the hands. We're coming to kneeling lunge. Your right knee will drop. Take a moment. When you feel rooted, arms can come up to the sky as an option. And perhaps we tilt, right? So the left arm can come down, a little lateral stretch left. Inhale up. And the right arm can come down, lateral stretch to the right. Inhale up. Hands frame the foot. Good. Let's tuck the back toe, lift the knee for runner's lunge, and let that left hand slide to the hip for a little twist. Shifting your gaze behind you. Exhale, release down, good. Now once again, stepping back to plank pose. Some, as an option, will float the left leg off the mat. And back to downward dog. Yeah, we'll do 2 more of those. Inhale, plank, or the floating leg plank. Exhale back. One more. Inhale. And exhale back. Beautiful job. Let's move along now. We're going to gather a little fortitude. We're going to try this again with an option. So inhale, right leg, three-legged dog. Hang on, dig deep. Third eye wisdom, right? Where should I be? What is and what could be, right? Bending the knee, foot between the hands. Now, option to drop your left knee for kneeling lunge again, or to lift yourself up to a high lunge as an option. So we're not going to do those little tilts to the side. We're just going to hold this for a moment wherever you are and take another breath. Exhale, hands frame the foot. Good. Let's step back to plank, and you could float that right leg again. Final option, if you're floating your right leg, bring the knee to the elbow. Back to the floating right leg to our plank and downward dog. No more. That's it. Exhale. Good. We have one more side to do. Inhale the left leg, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, the foot between the hands, and then choose your kneeling lunge or your high lunge with that back knee up. Arms overhead. Just pausing here, maybe taking another breath. Exhale, hands frame the foot. Stepping back to plank or let the left leg float. If you're here and you want a little more, bring that left knee to the left elbow and breathe. One more breath. Back to the floating left leg or plank. Downward facing dog. Nice job. Beautiful. Breathe into your back. Right? Breathe, breathe. Very nice. On your next breath, we're going to walk, or you could jump into a little prayer squat here. So we've got to get the heels on the mat, on either side of our wrists, right? You could walk up, or you can bend your knees, look forward, and just float up to that little wide position that we call prayer squat. Hands can leave the earth. Option to bring your thumbs to your third eye. Coming into your practice, right? What is here? What could be? How do I see myself in this practice in the world, right? Exhale, hands down to the mat. Just press on your hands to straighten your legs. And then we'll toe heel in for our forward fold. I'm going to move up to the front of my mat here for this fold. Just let yourself hang for a minute. Breathe. Slowly rise, reverse a swan dive. Come all the way up. All the way up. Stretch tall. Place the hands together if you wish. Little back bend at the top. Breathe. Feel the joy just of the practice today, right? And the arms come around back to the heart center. So let's move through 3 half sun salutations. They're not too complicated at all. I'll move slowly. We'll drop the arms. Inhale up. Exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Lift halfway up to a flat back. And exhale back to your fold. Inhale and rise. Little back bend at the top. Arms around. Back to the heart center. Same thing again. Inhale. Exhale, swan dive. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, release. Inhale to rise. Feel the joy of what you're doing here. Hands to heart. Last time. Exhaling, just connecting with your breath, right? Halfway, lift up and exhale to release. Inhale and rise. Arms around, back to heart center. Pause, couple of breaths. So we're going to do a sequence today at the long side of the mat. So use one of your feet and step back to widen your stance. Your mat should be long, horizontally. Can we go ahead and just turn the toes out for a moment and make a 5-point star? Going to be doing a little sequence here from this 5-point star. So let's come into the energy of the feet right now and how they're rooted and how they feel. Notice your feet, and from this shape, can your feet make the shape of warrior 2 feet? So choose one foot to be the forward foot with the toes facing forward, and let your body just assemble that other foot in a place that you know it feels comfortable. Breathing here, the gaze forward. From this, on your next inhale, reverse the warrior. Allow yourself perhaps to use a different little bind today with that opposite lower arm to bind in front of the belly and around to the hip. Let's exhale into side angle or extended angle. Extended angle, your fingers would be to the ground, of course, next to your foot. That upper arm can come overhead if you wish. If you want a little bit more balance here in this practice, take that lower arm away from earth and just wrap it around your opposite hip. Good. On your next breath, release to reverse warrior once again. And we'll take this right into our triangle. So straightening that front leg, reaching that front arm forward, just as far as you can. And then shifting the arms to that 6 o'clock shape, where shoulders and hips are aligned in the same plane. One more breath. Let's inhale, lift up, back to warrior 2. Today coming into half moon balance. I know, it's a challenging one for some. So this front arm this front hand becomes your grounding as you slide that back foot in a little bit and lift that long back leg up. Upper arm in the air. Breathing. Now the exit to this pose is 5-point star. Take your time. No rush. Nice job. Let's come back into the energy of the feet. Notice where they landed. Notice how you're situated. And when you're ready, shift to the opposite side, warrior 2. Again, notice the shift in the feet. Very important that the grounding is solid in these postures. Gaze forward, so you're new forward, right? In the other direction. Reversing your warrior with the opposite arm maybe coming around the belly to the hip. Exhale, side or extended angle pose. So to your thigh or to the ground. Arm over top. Again, if you want more balance, that lower arm can wrap around that opposite hip in front. Just for something a little different today. Good. Inhaling to release to reverse warrior. We were here before. The arm around the belly again if you wish. Let's straighten the front leg, come right into our triangle as we reach to our new forward there. And then shift those arms. Breathe. Keeping the integrity of the supporting hip, right? Making sure that we're strong there. On your next breath, inhale, lift up and back to warrior two. So the half moon balance is where we'll go next. Again, without overthinking it, if you want, you can just take this arm that's in front and just kind of tap down in front of that toe. Or if you'd like to launch off of there, you can pull that back foot in a little bit and see if you can lift that opposite leg up to hip height with the arm in the air there for a couple of breaths. Once again, the exit is going to be our 5-point star. So take your time. Back to this. Hands float to the hips. Very nice. Now, let's draw the toes in. So the feet are now actually straight on facing me. Your toes are facing me. And we'll bring our arms behind us. We've done this in a couple of my videos before, some of you. If it's too much with arms behind, then keep them on your hips. Inhale up, exhale to flat back. That's good. And then a possibility to keep going all the way down, right, as a possibility with arms floating off the back. Now, if your arms are floating off the back, or even if they're not, can we shift a little bit over so that our gaze is all the way over at the left pinky toe? Then shift your gaze all the way over to the right pinky toe. So you're doing a subtle little twist. It's very tiny. Do this again, over to the left pinky, and over to the right pinky. Good, and then back to center, release the arms, see if they can float down to earth. Pause there, 2 or 3 breaths. Once again, slowly to toe heel the feet back in to forward fold. Now let's have a little fun and do a little spatial awareness here. Can we close our eyes in this fold? Close your eyes and then see if you can turn your forward fold to the short end of the mat. So in other words, you're doing a quarter turn. Just a quarter turn. Stay in the center of your mat. Eyes are closed, and just see how you did when you open your eyes. Just see how that all worked out for you. Good. Then slowly, one by one, let's just lower the knees down one by one. Knees lower down. And we'll sink back into our child pose again. This time you might want to widen your knees to the edges of your mat. Third eye to the ground. Sink down, relax. Our third eye center helps us to see ourselves within our own practice. It's so amazing when we can do that, right? And it helps us to see ourselves within our own life, within our own professional relationships, personal relationships, and how we interact to the world and with the world. What is and what could be, right? On next breath, take your time to walk your hands in. If they're extended, bring the legs together. You'll sit down and have a seat. Legs out in front for staff pose. Hands will actually be next to the hips. We don't sit in this pose too often, so it's a little challenging to sit like this, right? So it's like an L-shaped mountain pose. So we'll do a little work here. Can we take these hands and slide them back a little bit further behind the hips? Then find an inclined plank as we sink the hands down. Let the balls of the feet come forward and lift the chest up. Lift the hips up. As you exhale, slowly release the hips back down and melt right into your forward fold. Breathe, 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 breathe. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Third eye forward. On your next breath, draw the belly to the spine. Slide the hands back. Find your inclined plank again. And exhale, drop the hips down. Melt forward into that fold once again. Now, if you feel relatively deep in your fold, so much so that your left peace fingers could reach your big toe, if you can reach that, scoop up that big toe. And as you draw your belly to your spine, come on up to staff pose again, and just bring that left leg with you for a big toe hold. If the thigh is coming towards the chest a little bit more, just bend your elbow and to bring it a little closer. Watch the integrity of your staff as you're sitting tall. One more breath. And then slowly just release that leg back down. We'll do one more. Bring the hands back behind the hips. Inhale, incline plank. Exhale, come down and melt into forward fold. And this is our last one, so some of you might do that big toe hold on the other side, which is the right peace fingers. Scoop up the big toe. And then slowly back to your staff, bringing that leg with you. Thigh towards the chest. I know this is hard. One more breath. Let's bring that leg back down. Beautiful job. Now, can we bring both legs in and find our boat pose today? I'm going to let you choose your boat pose expression. So if you just want to lift the heels, you can. If you want to lift the lower leg up, you can. If you want to let go of your legs, you can. We'll stay for 3 breaths in our boat pose. One more. On the exhale, bring your feet together and find your butterfly, hands to your ankles or scooped under your feet. Relax. Feel free to stay nice and tall in your butterfly, maybe bringing your heart center forward a little bit. So there's a second option in butterfly to come into this position a little differently, where we release that little forward folding motion and draw the belly in and round the back so that the third eye comes towards the toes. So that's another option for you if you like that stretch through your lat muscles and your rhomboids, the big muscles in the back, also your lower back muscles. And once again, you can even go back and forth if you come up straight and just want to bring your heart forward again. So you can play with those 2 movements if you would like to, knowing that they're both and quite different. Let's take just a couple more breaths. It doesn't matter which one that you're doing. And then slowly, especially if you're in the position with your third eye to your toes, draw the belly in, bring yourself back up, and your knees together. Good. Let's move on to our backs now. Extending one leg, pick up the other one, gently roll back. Bring the knees into the chest and sway a little side to side. Side to side. See how you feel. Now let's drop the left foot to the ground and we'll make a figure 4 shape with our right leg. But just for today, keep your left foot flat instead of floating your leg up in this pigeon. So we have the pigeon shape. If you'd like to try, join me in just floating these arms out to a T shape. Breathing for 2 breaths here. On your 3rd breath, when you exhale, drop the legs to the left. So you're dropping into a tipped pigeon here. And just for today, a little different. We'll take the arm that's closest to the leg and place it right at that inner thigh, right above the knee a little bit. Press that hand so that you're actually kind of pushing the thigh and knee towards the front wall. This might not be a very big movement. It could be so tiny that you don't even see any movement. That's fine. That's fine, right? Just a little sensation is what we are looking for there. Let's take another breath. Now, as you release that hand, let's also release the top leg, bringing it all the way around so we stack the knees. Then keep that top leg sliding back as if it's going over to the opposite side of your mat. You can take your opposite hand and even hold that ankle and just pull that leg back a little further if you want to, drawing that knee towards earth. So it will feel like or look like, from a casual observer overlooking your practice, not that anyone is, but if someone would be, that you did some windshield wiper legs and just dropped over to one side. It's kind of that same shape. This is actually a modified pigeon. Let's take 2 more breaths. Good. Now very slowly, you might want to slide that back leg in a little bit. Let's come back to the feet flat position. Make sure your spine is neutral as we start to set up pigeon on the other side with the left leg over top of the right, ankle on the thigh. And we'll make our T shape with the arms. Taking a couple breaths here. On your next exhale, tip your pigeon over to the right. Now, as that happens, the arm that's closest to that leg, just place the hand on the thigh, the inner thigh, and press out. So you're pressing towards the front of the room. Again, you might not feel anything here, or you might feel a lot. It just depends. All optional, of course. If this is too much, just let it go. 2 more breaths. Now let's release that arm. Let the top leg release so that we stack the knees, and then just keep it sliding back, back towards the opposite side of your mat. You could even use that hand right there to pull it back further if you wish. Let the knee cant down towards the mat, towards the earth. Modified pigeon, we'll take a few breaths. Good, so now slowly on your next inhale, feet flat position. You may need to slide that opposite leg back in a little bit before you come to feet flat. Let's walk our feet closer to our body, to our buttocks, arms to our sides, and when you feel your feet strongly grounded, then ground into the back of the shoulders and lift the hips up for a bridge pose. Let the feet be strongly grounded. Let the knees track forward, the legs, the thighs lengthen, the hip flexors lengthen. 3 breaths. 1 more. Very nice. And exhale, slowly release all the way down. Float the knees back into the chest. Let the head comes towards the knees. Stretch your back in winged pose. Another breath. And then keeping those knees right there, let's release the upper back to the ground and find our happy baby as the legs come wide, knees bent. Holding onto your big toes if you wish with your peace fingers. Elbows inside the knees. Use the elbows to widen your stance if you wish. Trying to keep your lower back grounded and your hips grounded. Right, so we're not rolled off the ground. We're not in shoulder stand. We're in happy baby. You could rock a little bit in this to elongate, to massage. As if that whole low back body area is kind of spreading out on your mat a little wider. That's the feeling that we want. Also stretching through your inner thighs, through the pelvic girdle ligaments a little bit, coming deeper. It's all good, right? When you come to stillness, let go of your toes. Slowly let the legs release to Shavasana. Take your time. Let your legs be long. Now today, I'm going to let you have a nice long Shavasana. You might want to, at some point, reach over to your device and turn it off because I won't be here for as long as you'd like to lie here. But staying here as long as you like, I would like to leave you today not only with this nice long Shavasana, but also with the mantra for the third eye. So the mantra for our third eye center, our center of our wisdom, is I see. I see. So as you lie here, closing your eyes, coming deeply into that center in your body, and let it pan outward. What do I see? Seeing more than what is, but perhaps seeing what could be in your practice, in your life, in your relationships, and in your relationship with the world. I leave you today with the mantra, I see. Namaste.